video has the potential to completely change your perspective about photography. I am Omkar and welcome you all on my channel. I hope you all are doing great. Today we will be looking at why and how you should edit your photos. And this video is divided into the same two parts. First we will look at the why and then the how part from the title. Also I will show you a quick look into how I edit my photos. So make sure you stick till the end of the video for that. If you haven't subscribed to the channel,
please whatever.
I have seen people posting pictures with hashtag no editing, hashtag no filter, and there are millions of posts like that. And somehow people have a feeling that if the image is not edited, then the image is original. Or editing only means manipulating or faking the image. But that's not entirely true. Let me explain you after this short intro. Before going into the video, a short disclaimer. This is only the second video on my channel, and the first video that I uploaded was a Lightroom tutorial. I'll link it somewhere here, you can check that out. This is only a second video on my channel and technically the first one where I am facing the camera and talking to you all through this. One of the main reasons for me to get started with this channel was to do something different. So I may not be the best in terms of talking in front of the camera and articulating myself, but and that is not really my comfort zone. But that's the whole point of doing it, right? So my voice can feel a little unnatural at times, but please bear with me and I hope to improve it in upcoming videos. Let's get into the video. In today's world, we all have a great set of cameras on our smartphone, and because of which, almost everyone is a photographer. We all love to capture and share our photos on social media. People are using their cameras almost all the time. But still, editing of the photos is something that people are not really aware of. I mean, people use Instagram filters, but there is so much more into editing that you can do with it. The whole idea behind photography is to show the world what you have captured at that moment from your own perspective. When we take a look into professional photography, almost every photographer edit and post-process their photos. But I feel not only professionals, but everyone should edit their photos. Reason number one. The idea is to create images the way you want them, the way you want to show them, and not the way your camera sees them. Editing is a vital part of the creative process that photography is. And editing helps you bring your own perspective and your own look and feel into the image. Let's debunk a myth here. Many people think that the photo straight out of the camera is unedited. And if you are one of them, then probably you are wrong. All smartphone and camera companies have a different method and different algorithms to process their image. Clearly, a lot of processing happens from the moment you capture the image till it gets saved to your gallery. It is pretty basic to understand that in this whole process, your smartphone is editing the photo, and that too in a way that manufacturer has decided it. And that's why the same image which is taken from different phones and different cameras can look entirely different. To fulfill the goal of photography, to become creative and to show the world what you have captured from your own perspective, editing is a must. Editing can help you bring your own personal vibe and touch to it. Another essential reason for you to edit your photos is the limitations of your camera. Our eyes are far more superior than any camera available right now. That's why the image that you take will never look exactly the way you saw it in real life. Let's take an example of dynamic range. Now the dynamic range in photography is the difference between the brightest and the darkest part of an image, where the details are still visible. Our eyes have an exceptional dynamic range. Let's just do a small experiment. Now take a look out of the window from your room in daylight conditions, where the outdoor brightness is relatively higher than the room's brightness. You can clearly see the outdoors through the window and the inside of your room with a fair amount of details. Now take your phone and point it towards the same window. You will see that if I want the room to be bright enough in this situation, then the outdoor portion is completely blown out with no details in it. And if you focus on the outdoor region, then the indoor part gets completely dark. Now this can be improved with help of HDR. HDR stands for High Dynamic Range. Now if I just go into the settings here and turn on the auto HDR, you can see here that the camera detects the scene exceeds the camera's standard dynamic range, and it will enable the HDR automatically, as you can see here. So the camera will take multiple shots with different exposure level, and it will combine them to create a final output image, which is an HDR image. With the faster performance of the current gen mobile processors, this technology can be implemented even in budget smartphones. And therefore, to overcome limitations of your camera hardware, your phone is doing some kind of editing. But if you take control of your image and edit it on your own, then the final image will be the one that you create and not what the camera gives you. This information will surely help you when you are going to buy your new phone. People research a lot about the phone, watch a lot of comparison videos on YouTube and all. And if you see that one of the two camera samples in comparison have a slightly worse camera, but you like all the other features of it, then the camera shouldn't become your deciding factor if you know how to edit the photos. You really don't have to worry about the minuscule camera differences that are there. Now coming to the professional devices that photographers use. All the DSLR and mirrorless cameras have separate image format known as RAW. Whichever camera brand you take, there is an option for you to capture the images in RAW format. The standard JPEG format of an image that we all know is a compressed format of an image, and the RAW format is basically uncompressed form of an image. The RAW images take all the information from the camera sensor and store it as it is. The RAW format is created only to give better control over editing for photographers. Suppose you see a raw image from any professional DSLR camera or a mirrorless camera, then you will notice that the raw photo is dull looking and with less amount of saturation and less amount of contrast. But this is the raw photo without any post-processing in it, so that one can tweak all those settings later while editing. Also, a lot of smartphones these days give you an option to shoot in raw format. Try googling and search if your smartphone has this capability. To edit any digital photograph, you first need some softwares to it. And first of all, for all the mobile photographers, two softwares that you must have in your smartphone for editing are Snapseed, which is a photo editing app from Google. It is very easy to use and the interface is quite user friendly, yet it is very powerful and totally feature packed. The next application is a Lightroom mobile. This application is mobile version of the Lightroom software, which is used by most of the photographers on PCs. This is a very powerful free photo editing software. There is also a paid version of it, but the free version is all you will ever need. It takes a bit of a practice to understand all the functions of it, but don't worry, the next few videos on this channel will be about Lightroom Mobile, where I'll talk about different features of it and how you can easily use it. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also, every phone has a photo editor in its gallery, and you can make substantial changes to your photos with the help of it. As I said earlier, let me give you a quick look into how I edit my photos. I have this photo taken from my phone. I have imported this photo in the Snapseed app. Now this is not the best photo by any means, but let me show you what you can do with a simple editing. Here I will go into the tools and crop my image from the top. I want these mountains in the middle of the frames. Always crop your images if there are any distraction or useless space in the frame. Now going into the tools and then into the tune image part. If you slide up and down here, you can see a lot of settings you can change. Now the brightness of this photo looks fine to me. I'll increase the contrast a little bit as this is a very flat looking image. Increasing saturation a little bit. Now you have to be careful with contrast and saturation slider as they can be a little tricky. If you overdo it, then you have pretty good chance of ruining the image. Now increasing the ambience a little bit, increase the highlights and decrease the shadows. Now I will reduce the warmth here to give it a bluish look as it is an early morning shot, and hit OK. Now going into structure, here you have sharpening and structure as two options. Increasing it slightly to get more details in the image. Now getting into the curve and changing a few settings. Now curves are a bit involved to edit but very powerful. Explaining how to use it is not in the scope of this video, so I'll just quickly go through it. Now I will add more contrast using the tonal contrast tool. At last adding some vignette by reducing the outer brightness and increasing the inner brightness. And we are done. This is the before and this is the after. See what a huge difference you can make with a minimal amount of time. Now talking about the DSLR users. Most of them already know about the Lightroom and Photoshop apps that they can use to edit the raw images, which gives you an extraordinary amount of control over your image. So right now I won't go into too much depth about the Lightroom app. Maybe in some other video I can talk about it. So go and install Lightroom and Snapseed on your phone. The links are in the description and start editing. Play with the settings and try to find what you can do with it. Do follow me on Instagram at OTP Photography. The link is in the description. And yeah, if you learned something useful and interesting today, hope you enjoyed this video. See you in the next one.